I know that time is a gift, and it is definitely of the essence, and I love the theme this year. So how many of you in the room are decision makers at your business? It is your job to be the boss, to have the answers, to know what's up. I want to see those hands up. Awesome, awesome, same. Like they said, I am the owner of 3 businesses, and I am blessed that one of those businesses is actually a design and planning firm for healthcare facilities. And so on Monday, April 23rd, 2018, I was conducting an all-project meeting for a new healthcare facility that I was designing, which means everybody in the room at the same time. And we are all around the table, we do the introductions, we start on the agenda, and all of a sudden I get asked a question and I find myself blurting out, I don't know. Now, if you in the room know me, it is my job to know. And so they asked the question again, and literally all I could say was, I don't know. There was no informational connection whatsoever. I could access nothing. Fortunately, the physician who was in the room popped up out of his chair and came over, grabbed my hands and said, Kimberly, what is your birth date? I don't know. At that time, the contractor, who was also in the room, who had just undergone OSHA site training for stroke responses, by the way, great program, popped up out of his chair, called 911 and said, I need a stroke unit. I had never even heard of a stroke unit. I didn't know they existed, but he knew. And he started very calmly listing off everything that they needed to know in dispatch. Before I could even figure out what was going on, the stroke team was there, following their protocol, getting me ready. Now I want to say a little bit about time really quickly. How many of you use technology for time like your phones? How many of you have phones that are openable with your fingerprint? How many of you have, in case of emergency, plugged into that phone if someone can open that with your fingerprint? That was the difference between them being able to call my husband and tell him what was happening. We happened to live around the corner from the job site. And him being able to get there in time to ride in the ambulance with me to the hospital versus getting that call from the hospital out of nowhere and not knowing what's going on. So that's a huge gift to the family of saved time as well. So I would encourage you to consider that technology if you don't have that and plugging that information in, because it made me feel better seeing him in the ambulance when I really didn't know what was happening. I could see everything unfolding, but I had no idea what was really going on. So I spent a week in the hospital. I had a cerebral venous thrombosis. I was completely blocked. The neuro team at the hospital couldn't even understand how I was so cognizant at the age of 45 and having this happen with this, because the imaging showed there was no blood getting through. So I couldn't access the information in my brain because the blood wasn't emptying out. So after, and with studies, we found that it was an unfortunate long-term impact from a medication that I had been on, which I think those of you in medicine know that happens as well. So I am very fortunate and blessed because the neuro team said, look, if you had been by yourself and you didn't know what was happening, you had 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So when we talk about the gift of time and time being of the essence, 15 minutes is huge, okay? So I just want to say thank you to all of you in this room for what you do for the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association. That mobile stroke unit saved my life, so much so that I actually ended up sending a note to Chief Pena and thanking him and asking him to tell the paramedics that came, thank you, and they put it in the newsletter for the fire department. So I was really grateful for that. So lastly, I heard you mention Rosalind before. Many of you know Rosalind Bazell-Mitchell. She is a powerhouse, and she is responsible for this auction here. She's on a plane tonight, which is why she couldn't be with us. She is a very dear friend, and she's a business partner of mine. I have made some pillows that are going to be part of this auction. So we want to say thank you for all that you do And bid early, bid often, keep up the great work, and again, thank you so much for your support.